Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in the two Dans of Jordan Red. That's what I'm going to just call you, the two Dans. That's what the publicist and I agreed on.
Yeah, we get that a lot. It's like, can you tell the Dans? That's not what we're known for.
But if you prefer Daniel and Dan or Danny, I'm fine with that too.
That's cool. I think how I guess Cap Dan and Hair Dan maybe for today's interview.
That is amazing. That's what it is now. It's Cap Dan and Hair Dan.
We said 80s and 90s Dan was the.
Oh, I like it. That is great. You guys are ready for anything. I like it. I like the jokes. You have to be. Life is insane and ridiculous, and if you don't know that, it's a lot harder for you. So I'm glad you guys are good about it. I'm Keith. My friends call me Keithy, or Ghost Cult Keithy online. And yeah, man, really digging this series of singles, including Hands That Built the World. Catchy as fuck, but also really heavy and like energetic. And what I really like in this extremely shit year is positivity and like, so it's sort of not just a punk or a rock song or a metal song just to have the sake of a heavy thing, but to have some cool message. And it seems like you guys are really keyed in on a good message in your stuff, which I like.
Absolutely. I think with Dan and I, what really has sort of gelled us is throughout everything we've stood by each other and we've made each other laugh. We've sent each other funny things. We've just made sure that we stay on track with everything. And it's just been like, if I've been feeling down one day or vice versa, I mean, with Dan, it's very difficult to remain low for long because he's so upbeat. He has so much energy. It's almost like if he calls, you got to take a deep breath and go, okay, here we go. This guy's going to be on it. He's been on it since like 6 a.m. And, you know, you're sort of like, it's like 10 a.m. You're sort of rubbing your eyes, but, you know, Dan's been at it for at least 4 hours. So staying positive through this time and just saying, right, we had a mission, we set out to do it and we're not going to stop, even though there's a pandemic going on in the world and everything seems to be falling apart around us.
I like that. How about you? What about you, Dan?
How do you stay positive? Go on. What were you going to say?
No, I was just saying, yeah, I see you have your cuppa there, and I'm ready to hear about how do you view the relationship?
I was going to say, when we started this, I mean, it was really, it was just, you know, I was sort of, a bunch of bands had finished and I was going, what am I going to do next? And I really wanted to do something that was, you know, guitar orientated and looking for a singer. And I'd heard Dan a few years before actually. And I was just like, put some feelers out and he was like, yeah, I guess we can do it. And we basically booked the studio. We didn't have any songs or anything. I mean, we just booked that studio and we, like, a deadline's going to get us to write. And we started writing for it and it all sort of came from there. Cause I mean, that was the whole way this worked. Cause you try and get a bunch of people together in it. I mean, I don't know how Slipknot do it, 9 people, but you know, get that amount of people in one place, everyone on board. So, it's a challenge, but we made it work. I mean, this is the way we wrote was this. I mean, it was through Skype. I mean, we demoed stuff at home. We'd send it back and forth, and we, you know, do a session together. And it worked. It sort of started off, and we did 2 singles, and then did a couple more. It was going to be an EP, and it got to this. There was this crossover point, and I think Hands That Built the World was actually the track where that crossover happened. It was like we had 5 that we'd recorded, and we're like, should we just do an album? And like, so we booked again with Ramesh for later that year, and we just wrote. We had Connor and Dave come in and do bass and drums. That was great. And we've got the whole album, which is, you know, this, you could say the pandemic sort of put it back, but in a way it's been really good because we put that first song out in February. And I mean, the whole plan was we're going to reach people online anyway first before we gig. We would have been gigging by now, obviously. But right now, I mean, it's working. We're reaching people. So, yeah.
I dig it. And in a way, I think our culture is becoming a singles culture or an EP culture. I don't know if people have I love an album, and I'm a weirdo, and I love all things weird, progressive, and strange. So I love concept records and weird extra long things and double LPs and weirdo things. But I think we're becoming a very streaming centric culture, and like people like singles and they like short releases and they like less time between releases. Fuck Daniel Eck and whatever he thinks about. We're not working hard enough, musicians and bands, like, dude. I mean, like, it's important. It's a necessary evil. I also teach a lot of music marketing, so we talk a lot about streaming, and we're doing actually a big seminar on streaming soon. But it's like, yeah, you need it for awareness and you need it to reach people, but also, you know, there are other methods too. So I think it's really cool that, in a way, this series of singles is, I think, really helping you guys.
Absolutely. I think with I mean, I don't want to dwell on that arsehole for too long, but you know, when you talk about like having that work ethic, you know, it's like the damn thing has got to be funded from somewhere. And I think just to say, just keep churning stuff out. What are you going to be churning out? And ultimately, with what we've been doing is we've said, we here's the bar, and if we and nothing can go below that bar of quality. So we wanted to make sure that we wanted to, like, every fan that we brought into the fold, we were like, we're going to treat them with the utmost respect, and this is what these guys deserve, and we're not going to give them any less than that. So to say we're going to start just churning out stuff which is going to be subpar, it just wasn't part of our mission, like from the very start. But that sort of stuff, it does take money, and if there's no place to play, and you know, if you don't have the capital to inject into something in the first place, it makes things very, very difficult for independent artists. You know, Jordan Red isn't signed. It's the two of us. And we're putting in everything that we have into it. And I think that really does, I really think that does translate, because we're so passionate about this music, we're so passionate about this band, we're passionate about each other, we're passionate about we're passionate about every ounce of content, the riffs, the lyrics. You know, Dan is a madman when it comes to like anything, like, you know, like when it comes to like writing. I've done 9-hour sessions with him, and we've got nothing out of it, because he just hasn't been happy. And it's like, and sometimes he'll say, you know, yeah, we'll put it on the side. I'm like, get rid of it. If you're not happy with it, it's not going to stay. And Dan is like, you know, and it's brought me up to that level as well. So it's just quality control, you know, just time and time again. I just think that we've just stuck to that, and that's sort of been our mantra, just to kind of keep everything that, unless we're happy with it, it doesn't go out.
I like that attention to detail. And as you mentioned, being an independent artist and doing everything kind of DIY, you have to, because you have only yourselves to rely on. So it's crucial. Yeah. I love it. Dan, you seem like such a sweet guy, but he just referred to you as a madman. He's talking about songwriting and studio work. And obviously you spent a lot of years, you know, there are some tremendous hooks and riffs on these songs. So do you, obviously you said you had finished with a bunch of other bands. Do you write all the time, or just as you guys need to?
You know what, when we started around then, we started writing, and it just carried on over this sort of 2-year period. I mean, we had to do it in chunks anyway, just the way, you know, we're self-funding it. So that is how we did it. And I was writing up until I think about a month, 6 weeks into this whole shutdown, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. And you know, maybe a few months ago, I haven't written a single thing. I just stopped and was focusing on that. I want a break. And I think that's important, because you immerse yourself in it so much. I mean, that's how you kind of get to those gems eventually, and you develop that sound. But I mean, now I'm kind of looking, well, we're both looking more 2021. We hate to say it, you know, it's only really now you're sort of going, okay, it's definitely not 2020 for gigs. It's not happening. So, you know, you accept it and we look forward. So with the writing, it's just, you're trying to find your sound as well. So it's like that act of writing that's how you get there. I mean, it's not, you don't sort of talk it into existence or sort of think it into existence. It's a whole creative process, isn't it? So
with what you were doing, Dan, so Dan would send me like, he would like assault me with like just riffs and like parts and stuff, and he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, wow, that's really cool, but what do you think of this? Bang! It's like, you know, and you just sort of throw all this stuff at you, and then I'd go, okay, what is this, where does this feel? And we'd sit down and he'd go, right, Dan, what's this song about? And he always made sure that there was that central focal point, and I really respected that, because I think unless you kind of have that sort of like direction to sort of like to target yourself. And we always sat down and we said, and I'd be like, I feel this, and he'd go, great, now let's go from there. And then it would just be, and then it was off to the races. And I'd get my mics out and I'd say, right, give me 10 minutes. And then I'd mute the microphones, I'd hit record, and I'd record him, I'd record him 7 different ideas on this one section. I'd send them over to him and he'd go, that part, the rest is dead, that part, maybe that part, maybe that part. And we try and see if we can get something cohesive out of that. Or sometimes it was like all 7 of these ideas would just be done. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then you just got to get up and you just got to go again, because at the end of that, you could do 8 hours and you're done. Dan is ready for another 8 hours. So you gotta kind of keep pressing on. But that kind of work ethic, it's inspiring and it lifts you up to like another level, and it is infectious.
Nice. I want to also. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
I jump in because like that whole 8 hours, then another 8 hours. You know what? When we were writing, because especially the last half of that album, I mean, it's not like you just write another, say, 5 tracks. You're writing like 15, 20. You're really sort of picking out, the right ones. Anyway, we put that deadline in, and it's like at that point again, we'd finished recording the songs we wanted to record. We had to start again, and it was about, say, this time, whenever, last year or the year before, whenever it was, and we were looking ahead and going, we've got 3 or 4 months to, we've got to have all this together. So I mean, we would do all day, and then the best thing about this was at that point, Jordan Red wasn't out in the world. We hadn't put anything out. There might be, I think we had maybe the website or something, but we hadn't put any music out. So I'd shut my phone off and put it in a drawer, and it's the most free feeling, I think, because right now you're sort of connected to everything and everyone, and it's really important when you're working through those ideas to just not have that distraction. I mean, it's insane. So that was a big part of it. It's like shut the phone off, in the evening. It's just switch all the devices off, get some sleep, come back the next morning, go again.
Yeah.
Nice. I was going to say self-care is very important, especially this year. Obviously, I hope you guys are well, your families are well, your friends are well, anybody else who collaborate as well. It is such an insane year, and it is important to take that time for yourself. I suck at it. I'm trying to get better. You got to take care of yourself, or nothing else works. Daniel, I definitely wanted to talk to you for a second about singing and vocals, because I think oftentimes in this genre, there's a propensity for anybody with a pretty good or high voice. They tap out and they lose their power, and they lose their ability to sort of have tone. And your voice is very consistent. I like that in Hands That Built the World, you immediately jump to the upper register and there's like no drop at all. It's awesome, powerful, and really carries the song very well. So I don't know what your regimen is to take care of your voice, but it's amazing.
I appreciate that a lot. I mean, it's something that I was in a band when I was very young called Days in December, and it was like this post-hardcore stuff, and I never used to warm up. The most you'd really get out of me was maybe 5 or 6 songs for a live show, and and then around 2007 I really wrecked my voice. I lost it almost completely, and it was then I was like, right, I really need to do something different. So I changed how I ate. I've never been drunk. I've never been a drinker. I wasn't smoking. It was mostly about how I would warm up, how I would warm down, how I talk to people throughout the day. It's been an exercise in self-control as well, because I never raise my voice to anyone. So, I mean, a lot of people say it makes me even more formidable and scary when I'm angry, because I keep a very calm tone with people. It's like that. Oh, hello, Clarice. It's lovely to see you again. You know what I mean? It's that sort of vibe. But I think that can be a little bit more sinister. But not that I'm a bad guy, but it's for raising my voice you almost do become a slave to it. So just drinking water, I limit myself to 3 cups of coffee a day. Some singers would say that's maybe too much, but you know, I don't have a lot of sugar in my diet. I pretty much gave up dairy. I try to give up as much as I can wheat, and I exercise a great deal. My exercise regime, it goes around. If I have a vocal session or a gig, I won't do abdominals because it's all about the diaphragmatic breaths. You know, so you quintessentially become a slave to your voice. So then, you know, and if I can't sing, or if I'm hungover, or like my vocal cords are shot, then I can't work. You know, I'm ironically, throughout the pandemic, I've become a pro musician. That's how I make my money. And if I can't sing, then it all falls apart. So yeah, I'm very strict with it, you know, but it's not something I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. In fact, I feel blessed to be able to have a voice like I do, and as it's a gift, you know, I'm a custodian of it, so I need to take care of it.
Nice. I like that philosophy. Of course, I have to ask the question: is there a deeper meaning behind the name Jordan Red? It's such an ominous name. Could be anything, but I wanted to see if there was a meaning behind it.
Dan?
Yeah, it's, Jordan Red's a character in himself. So when we started this project, I mean, we started writing music before we had a name. We were really trying, you know, digging down, trying to find the right name, and we came across this idea of, I mean, everything we were writing, it's like you're trying to find out and create something that's true. So, I mean, that name it's a combination, you know. So, you know, like Marilyn Manson combined the two sort of different characters. Well, this one was like Jordan Peterson, the psychologist, and the red pill philosophy of just looking for what's true. That's how we put that together. It was kind of a name to create under that would hold us to a standard, should we say?
Yeah, hold ourselves.
Go on.
Sorry, hold ourselves to a standard, but we wanted to create, like, Jordan Red. It was a person. I mean, a lot of people have been calling me Jordan, and it's like, hey Jordan. It's like, Dan, but it's okay. But like, I understand that, but at the same time, you know, we did want to create, like, and it's going to develop. Jordan Red is. Like I guess like Don Broco, we you know, like that band's an amazing band, but it was a name, and it was a figure that was this sort of entity of truth, and someone which was a truth seeker, and it had to be our truth which had to feed through it and held us to these standards.
Nice. And yeah, similar to Pink Floyd, if people are asking which one's Pink or which one's Jordan, if we find Daniel in a trash hotel room with his eyebrows shaved off, we'll be concerned and call somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's awesome. You know, just really quickly as we get through this interview and start to wind down, I definitely wanted to ask you guys about your influences. I know you mentioned, you know, metalcore and punk and post-hardcore and things, but I wanted to ask individually if you know, what were your earliest influences and how those kind of, you know, filter into the band today.
You want to take this first, Dan?
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, I guess early on, you've got to start with Ozzy and Sabbath. Absolutely. Ozzy, Sabbath. I mean, there's Pink Floyd. Those are all the classics, and Led Zeppelin you'd hear early on. I mean, it's Nirvana. And then, you know, about whatever age it was, you know, you discover Slipknot and Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and Papa Roach and Slayer and Sepultura and all those bands, Metallica, Pantera. So it's like you sort of work your way through all of those, you know, classic phases, I guess. I mean, Maiden, Metallica, the classics, and then, you know, I'd imagine like there's got to be some kind of subconscious influence left over from the Sabbath thing, because there was something that first chord hit in pre-chorus of "Don't Let the Heavens Fall." I realized the other day I was playing something. I always go to this chord. I was going, what? I'm writing stuff around it, and it's like 2 chords there. I realized it's the intro. I worked out a few days ago to Spiral Architect. Like, obviously played differently, but the chord is like, it's that tuning and it's that place, it's that exact position. Tony Iommi, I mean, when I started playing guitar, I did have a teacher, but I didn't want to learn country. I didn't do what they said, and I ignored it all. And I bought all the Black Sabbath tab books, and we'd print off Metallica tab books at school and get it taken away and all that stuff before band practice. But yeah, so it's like all that stuff you just play over and over and over again. It's still in there. I mean, you can't run away from the classics. So.
Yeah, I think I came more from a different kind of classic stuff. So I guess more like the British rock, like the Kinks, and then it was and then like Led Zeppelin, and then what really changed my life was the grunge side of things, like Nirvana. That was what made me kind of go, okay, I'm going to learn guitar now. When I heard I was watching the Smells Like Teen Spirit music video, and my dad was sat behind me with his acoustic guitar. I had never had any real interest in learning how to play until I heard him. He worked out how to play it while it's playing on TV, and I sort of turned to him, like, teach me, wise one, and it's like suddenly like this is what I wanted to do. Started learning guitar very, very quickly. I picked up like a load of, once I played 4 chords, I started a band, and we were awful, but we were playing together, and that was amazing. And so like I learned how to play stuff like Green Day, and then Metallica came into the mix, and then it was like, and then I just started playing with musicians that just, most of my biggest influences, instead of like real sort of genres, like, I mean, there's been bands, of course, like the Foo Fighters, and of course you've got like Five Finger Death Punch and guys like this, like the monoliths in all these different genres. But my main influences have been the guys that I played with over the years, and who've just influenced me with their style of playing ultimately, which is why I wanted to work with Dan so much, because it was like he was bringing something that I never do anything with anyone else. If I've kind of done something similar to it before, and when Dan was bringing me with these riffs, I was like, I've never been involved in anything like this. So, and he was like, do you want to do some music with me? And I was like, against my better judgment, yes. Like being in another band, okay. Bands, they're such a headache, but it was just something I couldn't say no to.
Nice. Yeah, a band can be like a loveless marriage, but if you guys got a good working relationship, you make it work. And clearly, it sounds like you guys had plans to tour and maybe put together a more full band, at least for the live side of things. So that's exciting. And, just really excited. I love these singles, and I would look forward to a whole album from you guys. I'm really jazzed. I guess it's going to be 2021, but hopefully we get our lives back, and we get our scene back, and we beat back stupidity and this virus. Both things are killing this place. And it's really cool to see 2 guys come together and start something special, I think. So really congrats, and awesome chatting with you. I really appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for your time, Keith. Thanks, really appreciate it. Cheers, man.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with Ghost Cult. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you soon.